Hi, and welcome along to AFTV for the first episode of Robbie's View. On this show, what I'll be doing is just sort of giving you a little, little personal feelings on how I felt the game went yesterday, and also let me just get your opinions in on what you made of the game yesterday. Of course, Arsenal beating Leeds United by 5-0. What a fantastic result. What a fantastic start to the season for Arsenal. And what a near perfect day. I say near perfect day because on waking up this morning, when I really kind of reflect, it's not a perfect day because there was a couple of injuries that happened that weren't great. But get involved today. Get involved. Let me know what you thought. I wanna just talk and reflect on that game. I want to big up everybody who was at the game yesterday. If you was at the game, it was truly a magnificent experience. Listen, it's always good to be at the Emirates. It's always good to be there for the first home game of the season. But this one was truly amazing, truly different to a lot of games that I've been to on the opening day over the years. You had all the expectation, you had all the excitement, but it was enhanced yesterday, and it was truly, truly amazing. So get involved in the chat. If you was at the game, let me know what you made of it. If you was maybe watching the game in another country with one of the Arsenal supporters groups or even a group of mates or something somewhere, let us know what your experience was like watching the game. I really, really want to know because, you know what, I really respect the fans from all around the world that are, sometimes having to watch the game at crazy hours or getting together as a group to watch the game. So I'd love to hear from you guys as well. But for me, being in that stadium yesterday, it was absolutely electric. And what made it brilliant was what Arsenal did at the start of the game, which was to announce Eberechi Eze as an Arsenal player. We'd all known about it for the last couple of days that, it had been done, that we'd snatched him away from Spurs, and that he decided to join Arsenal. Mikel Arteta even saying that Eze called him and said, what's happening? You guys still want to sign me? Because I want to come. And we knew it was going to get done. We knew that, I was saying on my transfer daily and everything that he was doing his medical. Medical was taking place on Friday. Expect an announcement imminently. But I loved how they did it. Brought Eberechi Eze onto the pitch. And what a phenomenal response he got from the Emirates crowd. They went mad when he came out. Everybody was just clapping and cheering. And you could see the look on his face. He couldn't believe it. He walked out and he was soaking it up. He's looking around and he's just like, wow, I've made it. I've made it back to the Emirates. I've fulfilled my dream. Because we all know the story of him, being a 13-year-old and being told by Arsenal that, sorry, you're good, but you're not good enough for our academy. And he had to go away and try and make his way through a different route, playing at clubs like Millwall and Queen's Park Rangers, Reading. Got his move to Crystal Palace, and he's absolutely smashed it there. Become a legend there, scored the goal that won them their first ever trophy in a final. And now he's moved on and made his way back to his boyhood club, the club that rejected him as a kid. He's back at that club. And you could just see, he looked around at one stage and he just looked up like he's looking up to God. And he just said, only you could do this. It was a beautiful moment. It really was. And the adulation that he got from the fans, it was just beautiful all round. I just absolutely loved everything about it. And he's an Arsenal player now. He's an Arsenal player. And, they flashed him a couple of times during the game when he was sat up in the stands. And I bet he can't wait to play at the Emirates Stadium. He's going to have to wait a little bit because our next game's away from home at the Anfield. And then we've got a 2-week international break, and then he'll make his debut. But What a fantastic moment that was. What a beautiful moment it was, which is going to live long in the memory. But it didn't stop there. The game got underway. And listen, we had to make a big... David Raya made a massive save before we even scored. And that's what he's been doing for us so much since he's come in at Arsenal. He's been one of our best signings when you think about it over the last couple of seasons. David Raya has been consistently good. Golden Glove 2 seasons straight, and another fantastic save by him yesterday at 0-0. Then we got into the game 1-0 up through that tried and trusted route of set piece again, ole ole, which the whole stadium was singing. Yuri and Timber getting on the end of that one. Great header, great delivery by Declan Rice yet again. Fantastic delivery. Such a weapon for Arsenal, set pieces. When you've got a game that's tight, you know, the set pieces come into effect. And listen, it's part of the game. You'll have fans from other clubs saying, oh, set piece, you use the set piece. Well, why don't you guys use it then? We use it to great effect. And long may it continue. Got us into the game. After that, Saka with an unbelievable finish on his wrong foot, by the way. Remember, he's left-footed. He smashed that in with his right foot. Great goal. And then after that came what I thought was the other amazing moment. Because you'll go to games and you'll leave a game sometimes, and in years to come, there are moments that you remember. So first moment that you can tick off from that game is I was there when Eberechi Eze came out and got introduced to the Emirates crowd for the first time. Tick. Second one to tick off is I was there when Victor Gyökeres scored his first ever Arsenal goal. And what a goal it was as well. He missed a chance in the first half that I was like, hey, yeah, bro, you should have done better with that, man. Like, he lost all his bearings and kicked it wide when there was some good pressing done, and he forced the keeper into a mistake. But make no mistake about his goal. Just the type of goal that we don't score enough of because we haven't really had that type of striker. Pick the ball up, direct, running behind, down the channel, drove into the box and fired off a great shot. Gave the keeper the eyes. Keeper thought maybe he's going the other way. Bang, right into the corner. No nonsense, decisive finish. 3-0 up at that time. But Victor Gyökeres off the mark at Arsenal. Very important that he did that because he's been coming under so much scrutiny and criticism already. Loved the celebration, of course. Did the little hair flick as well. This is to wind up all those fans who were dissing him online, saying that, you know, flicked his hair more times than, you know, goals or whatever, or shots on goal. And Gyökeres off the mark. And you saw his confidence levels just went up after that. I mean, he was a threat right throughout the game for the defense. He's strong. He's direct. No nonsense. A handful, a real handful. And I think it's brilliant to have a player like that in our team. You got all the really good technical players and that, and then you get the ball into him in a channel. It's another threat again, right? Later on, he scored his second goal in a penalty after Timber got his brace as well. Second goal with a penalty, and what a great penalty it was. And this guy's penalty record is absolutely insane. He never misses penalties. And again, that's a good thing for Arsenal. And, you know, 2 goals for him in the game. 2 in 2 now. You can't ask for better than that. If you're a striker, his stats read games played 2 goals. If he keeps doing that from now to the end of the season, he's going to have a great return. But Victor Gyökeres off the mark and 2 goals for him in the game. And then that's ticked off. I was there when Gyökeres did that. Then the third moment to tick off. I was there when 15-year-old Max Dowman made his Premier League debut for Arsenal Football Club. And what an exciting debut it was. First of all, the excitement in the place when he came onto the pitch, the whole place was buzzing like when his name was announced. It's weird, isn't it? Like all these signings we've made, like Eze, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, who had a great game as well, Mosquera, Norgard, Kepa. But actually, the kid that bought the house down was a kid that came through our academy system. He's been at Arsenal since I think he was 4 years old. He's an unbelievable talent. He's the kid who brought the house down. He came out onto that pitch, the roar. It was ridiculous. And then thinking that, 15, if that was me at 15, even if I had the talent, when that first diagonal's hit over to me, I'm scared. I'm thinking, as that ball's coming, I'll be like, what if I miscontrol this and this goes out? This fan's going to be on my back. No, not this kid. Sublimely takes it down with a touch and then starts driving into the box. Then after that, just picking the ball up and running at their defenses. No fear every single time until later he draws the foul that wins us the penalty that Gyökeres puts away. And it's a great debut for him. Couldn't have gone any better. Absolutely brilliant moments. However, there were some downsides to the day, and that was the injury. First of all, to Martin Odegaard, who I thought started the game really well. He had that shot that just went wide. He was pressing really well. He was getting on the ball and looking really lively. And then later on also an injury to Bukayo Saka as well, which looks like that could be a hamstring. Looks like a shoulder injury with Martin Odegaard, which at this moment in time, we don't know how bad that's going to be. And also the injury to Saka. It's a hamstring. The good news is this is the other hamstring. It's not the hamstring that kept him out for months and months. But at the moment, we don't know how serious a hamstring injury that is. We're going to have to wait and find out. And again, it's more injuries again. And these are key players that are out. Havertz is out as well, remember. I'm a bit worried about that one because we still haven't had news on that injury. And when they take time sometimes to give you the news on it, it never is good. It can always be a possible long-term one, which is not good news for Havertz, who's only just come back from injury, was out on a long-term injury, and also, to us as a club. I mean, these are three absolute key players. The only good thing about it, and this is the important thing of going out and adding squad depth in the transfer window, is that there is squad depth. So if Saka's out, Madueke can come in on that right-hand side. I thought he did really well. Sorry, right-hand side, sorry. I thought he did really, really well when he came in on that side. Looked way more comfortable than when he was on the left. And that's what he's been brought in for. And you got Max Dowman, who can also come in on that side later on into that Liverpool game at Anfield. So that's good news. At least we've got great cover there. Martin Odegaard, if he's out, of course, Ethan Nwaneri came in, done a fantastic job there. He can play there. Or now you got Eze, who can play in that number 10 position as well. Squad depth. So even though it's a worry, it's not a serious. Last year, we'd be like this. Oh, my days. And Havertz, of course, you got Gyökeres. So this is the importance of squad depth. We've seen within the space of 2 weeks the injuries that we've got. So that is the importance, and that is why at least Mikel Arteta has learnt from the mistakes, and the board have learnt from the mistakes of last season, where that squad, they tried to go with this small squad, could not, sustain the injuries, that we got, and there was a drop-off. Even though the players that came in did really well to cover, there was a drop-off once those players went down injured. So a great day. And also, a tinge of a little bit of sadness with those injuries to those key players, especially the injury to Bukayo Saka. But at least there is cover. I mean, this gentleman said here, please talk about the injury updates. Everyone is considered. If you have info on that, we don't. Listen, we got no updates on those injuries. But we will get those. We will get those. Dowman with 15 years is more dangerous than Saka. Well, I wouldn't say that. Listen, Saka scored a great goal in the game. Saka is an unbelievable player. He was having a quietish game, but still had a major impact with that goal. And that second goal is what killed the game dead. Listen, we've got to be careful with this Max Dowman thing. Unbelievable talent, but I heard some people, even when I was doing interviews yesterday, saying start him against Liverpool. Chill. slow down. Please, please slow down, guys. He's 15 years old. 15. Yeah? We've got to take our time with this kid because we go rushing that talent, go overdoing him, overplaying him, putting him into the cauldron that is Anfield too early, up against seasoned centre-backs like Van Dijk and Konate and people like that. You've got to be careful with players like this. Ease him in. We're doing the right thing. Mikel Arteta brought him on at the right time. We're 4-0 up. Go out there, have fun, you know, pressure's off, go out there and do well, which he did do. But this is what we got to do with this kid. You can't be just throwing him into Anfield. I think that would be totally the wrong approach. But listen, we got a special talent. A special talent, you know? So, yeah, no, I'm really, really buzzing for Max Dowman. I was fortunate to be over there in Singapore and Hong Kong and watch what he was doing over there. And I thought, wow, we got a special talent here. But when you see him do it in a big game, amazing. The Saka injury makes me feel like we will not see him at his full potential now ever. We don't know how bad an injury it is. It's obviously a hamstring, but you know, let's wait and see before we start. I'm sure he's going to be back soon. And listen, he's come back from a really big injury, and you know, he showed yesterday what he can do. So, you know, let me get some more of your comments in. Thank you for all these comments coming in. So we get this one here. Alex, he says, Spurs fan here. Happy for Eze, to be honest. Obviously disappointing about him, but I'm not disappointed with the club for that. Hope he succeeds as a player, to be honest. I've rated him from QPR. All right, that's open and honest from a Spurs fan. And to be fair to them, they play really well. That was a good performance by them yesterday to win away at Man City. They seem to have Man City's number at the Etihad. Beat them 4-0 last year at the Etihad as well. So, but yeah. Monster 1 UK says, hopefully injuries won't set us back in a year where we have invested so much. Well, I think, listen, the reason why Arsenal have invested so much is obvious. Last year, injuries killed us. And we didn't have the squad depth to compete when we got those injuries. Now what they've tried to do is put 2 players in each position, which is something we should have been doing ages ago. But that shows squad depth. Remember, yesterday, there was no Ben White. Urian Timber comes in. No one's even asking about Ben White. Ben White is a top player. Ben White played last week. Timber didn't. Timber comes in, scores 2 goals. That's squad depth. That's squad depth. You know, we haven't seen Norgard yet. He's been out injured, but it's squad depth. You still got, you know, Zubimendi who can play in there. Declan Rice can drop in there as well. That's squad depth. Miko Marino didn't get on yesterday, but we know can play in midfield. He can play as a second striker as well. That's squad depth. Trossard came on yesterday, squad depth. Martinelli didn't even play, squad depth. Jakob Kivior, squad depth. That's what you need. If you're going to challenge in this league, that's what you need. We'll all see the team at the start of the season and we'll say, oh, that's a strong 11. But the reality of it is, very rare you see that 11 last the whole season. You can get lucky with it, right? But very rare do you see all of that 11 go. Like, so even Liverpool next week, Frimpong's out, injured. You know, they're going to have to deal with that. You got to have, I mean, Connor Bradley would be the guy coming up, but I heard he could be injured as well. But you've got to have 2 players in every position. And the other thing I need to remind people of is don't forget, come next week, Thursday, we get the draw for the Champions League group stages. And with this new way of doing the Champions League, where you do have these group stages, it's a completely different Champions League now. You can't, say, win your first 2 games, and then after that, say, rest up a couple of players because you're more or less through to the next round. You got all those games going to past Christmas into January. And you need to really win as many of those games as possible. We've seen that so you can get into the top stage and you don't have to play a qualifier, or you don't have to play a playoff, should I say. So every one of those games are important. So you need a big squad for that, because then, you know, you have a game like that, say, for instance, and, you know, you don't even know what team you could get. Any of those big teams. You could Inter Milan away. You could get Atletico Madrid away. Let's just give an example. Even a Barcelona away in these group stages. And then on the following Sunday game or Saturday game, you could be away at the Etihad. You need a proper squad. There are 2 huge games in 1 week. You need a proper squad of not just fillers, but players that are going to come in, and the standard is going to be, you know, no drop off. That's what I'm looking at. Say, for instance, I'm looking at Chelsea. They didn't have that last year. Chelsea, they didn't have that last year. Even though they're playing in the Conference League, they didn't even register half of their players until they got to the semi-final. Remember, Cole Palmer wasn't even registered. They won't be able to do that this year. They have to play those guys, and then if they've had a really tough game away from home, they're going to have someone who comes in and can do what Cole Palmer can do when, you know, that's what they're going to have. Same goes for Newcastle. Same goes for Liverpool. Same goes for Man City. Your squad is really, really tested. So don't just look at the 11 from now. You know what I mean? You need a proper squad. Arsenal need a new medical department, says Baldor 452. Well, listen, what's a medical department going to do about, you know, Martin Odegaard picking up a foul? He was fouled and then he drops on his shoulder. It's just, these things can happen. Hamstrings can happen. Let's wait and see how serious that hamstring was. Listen, certainly we picked up too many last season, definitely. So they have done a thorough investigation. Let's hope that investigation. Well, I get a feeling as well that's played a part in Arsenal building a much bigger squad. That playing a small squad thing and overloading players did definitely not work for Arsenal. So at least they've learned off of that. Christopher Footer says, big up Robbie with the super chat. Is even with Saka being out at Anfield potentially, we have more than enough to take all 3 points. So I agree with Smarty Marty. Listen, Anfield is a really tough place to go to, but let's not forget when we went there last year, we you know, there was no Saka last year at the end of the season. There was no Havertz there. There was no, you know, like there was no Gabriel. You know, at least now we've got a better squad. We've got a better squad. Impulse says the comments on the Yardman interview are hilarious. Fan base don't demand success, and Arteta's tactics are super questionable, but he has the players now, mate. He won 5-0. All right, no matter what you want to think about him, yesterday they delivered for him. 5-0 emphatic win against a team that beat Everton on their opening day. Christian says Gyökeres was nervous before the goals. He's going to be nervous. He's naturally going to be nervous. You know, first home game. This guy's under immense pressure. I've never seen it like back in the day when you bought in a new signing. You were like, fans would be like, yeah, we've got to give him at least like 5 games before it. Now, first game against United. Oh, I don't know about this guy, man. Don't know. I mean, the pressure he's under. And listen, he'll understand that. He's been brought in to score the goals. Munster says, hopefully Eze will be allowed to have the freeness to play at Arsenal. Would be a shame to box him in too much. Trust him to do his thing. I'm with you on that. We got to let this guy do his thing. He's got to have freedom to do his thing because he's such a talented player. Obviously, you know, he's going to have to do certain duties as well, but he needs freedom. He-Man77 says, Rob, do you think Arteta is done with Nelly? He's had a poor season, poor pre-season, anonymous against Manchester United, then suddenly Trossard new contract, Eze bomber, no minutes yesterday, Saudi money incoming. I don't think they'll sell Martinelli. I think, listen, he was just trying out different players, and you're right, he has been off form, and maybe a little time on the sidelines is good. He's good. You know, you don't just assume you're going to just be straight in the team. If you're in this team, you're going to have to perform, or you'll be on the bench. That's good. That's what we want. Dowman is a penalty generator. I think that's 3 penalties now he's causing because he's so hard to deal with. Imagine playing for Arsenal and then having to go back to your school studies. Well, that's exactly just what Max Dowman is probably having to do. I've met his parents. I met them when I was coming back from Hong Kong, and they were so grounded. And they said the amount of distractions and all these different people that are like, come and sign for us and this. They said, Robbie, he ain't going nowhere. He's an Arsenal player through and through. We're Arsenal fans. He's staying put. Lorenzo says, Madueke can play the left wing position at the moment, but we need to sort it out. We need a left winger like Rodrigo to get in there. Could they make a move for Rodrigo before the end of the transfer window? I get the feeling Rodrigo will not be at Real Madrid come the end of the transfer window. And I think he could be at one of 3 places: Arsenal, Liverpool, or Manchester City. All 3 clubs could do it a left winger. But I don't think Arsenal will go and pay £86 million for Rodrigo. Absolutely no chance. I don't think any of those 3 are going to do that. It would be a loan move if he does move. So it's an interesting one to watch between now and the end of the transfer window. But I don't think he's going to be, otherwise he's just going to sit on the bench, you know? So an impulse. Big it up Yardman again. He says, every fan base needs happy clappers. Yardman is a realist. So listen, big up to Yardman. He's got his very strong opinions. Listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion, man. That's the beauty of AFTV. We give people to have a chance to have their say. You don't always agree with what they say, and sometimes you do. So Sean says 2 hamstring mashed up. Only Arteta to blame for playing him 90 minutes nearly every weeks for 4 years. Well, listen, he's brought in squad depth now, so let's hope that we don't see that this year and that he doesn't get overplayed. He shouldn't get overplayed now. Baldur says Norgard had an excellent injury record until he signed for Arsenal. This happened too many times, Robbie. Something is wrong at the Arsenal medical. I understand that Norgard's injury is not a serious one, but there's no point in going rushing and trying to bring him in and risk him getting a worse injury. Listen, as I said, it's the whole point of having a bigger squad. Any news on outgoings? Has been really quiet lately. Acosta, I think, is going to be really busy on outgoings this week. Going along Watch Transfer Daily today, I was talking about how Sambi Lokonga's been linked today with a move away. I think it's Trabzonspor over there in Turkey. Fabio Vieira, Bayern Munich are one of a load of clubs that are looking at him. I expect him to leave. Zinchenko wasn't in the squad yesterday. I'd expect him to move. I think the big one's Kivior, whether Arsenal keep hold of him or let him go. Reece Nelson, looking like he's going to be on his way to Fulham, but he's sorting out these deals before the end of the window. What a lot of clubs are doing right now is like they're waiting. There's no point. Listen, any player that's available right now for loan or for sale before the end of the transfer window, they're not going to play for you today, are they? Or this weekend? Yeah, Fulham are playing today. So what's the point in rushing and trying to get Reece Nelson? The sensible thing to do, the bargaining thing to do, is to try and wait it out now till nearly the end of the transfer window, because the longer that Arsenal are trying to offload these players, the longer you wait, the better deal you get. You can get him on loan, you can get him cheaper. If you go in now, Arsenal is going to ask the full price. If you wait, it's a gamble because a couple other clubs may come in, but this is what happens in the last week in the transfer window. But I do fully expect most of those players to go before the end of the transfer window. Certainly they need to move some of those out. This guy says, it did make me laugh that Sky say not to overhype him and have a 10-minute segment overhyping him. Well, listen, he's going to get overhyped by... I think the most important thing is for Arsenal Football Club, like Mikel Arteta and that, not to overhype him. They can't afford to overhype him. They got to keep him on the ground. And his parents. And it was interesting that, you know, Mikel Arteta was talking about how brilliant his parents were in keeping him grounded. And as I said, I've met his parents. I've met his mum and his dad and his sister. And they are really, really cool people. And I think they are going to keep him grounded. I really do think they are going to keep him grounded, but based off of, you know, my conversations with them. And yeah, it's very important that they do that because, you know, right now, everybody's like building him up and putting him on a pedestal, and he deserves to be put there, but he's still got a long way to go in his football career. He's 15. He's still young. Things can change overnight in football. You can pick up a little niggly injury that sets you back. We've seen superstar young players before. Charlie Patino for Arsenal burst onto the scene. You know, didn't quite happen for him. You know, it's all a high at the moment. But what about when their setbacks come? This is why you got to keep him grounded. This is why you don't let him get too carried away. And, you know, from what also somebody was telling me that they've been at a training ground and seen his dad, and his dad like will tell him the truth. Again, you know what I mean? Because you don't want just like loads of people around there just yapping, bigging you up. You want someone to tell you the truth. If you are getting a bit ahead of yourself, someone who brings you back down to earth. Nothing better than your parents to do that. Brings you back down to earth. Says, yo, chill. Be real. Be humble. Build your career. Don't think you're Lamine Yamal or Messi. You're not. You have to earn every little bit of praise that you get. So, and as I said, I met the parents, and they definitely look like they're that way. Strike Paul says the best signing has been Berta. He's revolutionized the club. How many of our signings does Edu get across the line? Well, he would have got the Zubamendi one across the line because he's working on that for a very long time. But I think you've got to say Andrea Berta is the way these guys operated in the transfer market has been unreal. I've wanted somebody like this who's aggressive in the transfer market. And don't get me wrong, Edu made some great signings. He's a great guy. And listen, let's not forget, he's made some fantastic signings, you know, that have got us to where we are. But I just think Berta has arrived at the right time, like the signing of Gyökeres, getting Zubamendi fully over the line, getting this Eze deal done when Tottenham looked like they had it. The way he's operated, brilliant. Mosquera, no one was even thinking about this kid. He's brought this kid in, and from what we've seen so far, he looks some player. So, loving what Andrea Berta's doing. Long may it continue. Even in the RVP area, Arsenal had injuries, hard training. Yep. Every team has injuries, by the way. I mean, not just us. We have had a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but every team does get injuries. Galan says, what's your honest opinion about getting the title this season? My honest opinion is we're doing the right things. So, first of all, it's about adding quality to this squad. We've undoubtedly got a very, very, very good team. I feel we've got the best defense in the league. You know, with Gabriel Saliba, Timber, and whether it be Calafiori or, you know, whether you've got Mars Lewis Skelly, that back four plus the goalkeeper's formidable. I love that they are now strengthening that. Like, they brought in a backup goalkeeper in Kepa, quality keeper. He played literally every game last season for Bournemouth, and he was one of the best keepers in the league. Good moves. They've replaced Partey. They've brought in Zubamendi, brought in Norgard, a guy with lots of experience. Good moves. We needed a striker. We needed it for years, but they brought a striker in at last in Victor Gyökeres. They brought in the quality with Eze. They're doing the right things. We have an excellent chance of winning this league. Excellent chance. It's going to depend on fitness and lack of injuries and that, but certainly they're learning from their mistakes And I think we're going to have a good run at the league. Listen, it's still very early. You can't get carried away. We've played 2 games. We've got off to a great start. It's a hard start, but we've got off to a great start. But certainly, so far, it's still very, very early. But I think Arsenal are going to be challenging for that league this season, and I think we've got a great chance of winning it. But, it's very, very early, so we can't get carried away. Do you think we should thank the Cronkies? There's Earl Patterson. Now, this one was quite a controversial one from Julian yesterday. He was saying that, why are none of the fans singing Cronky's name? I think that's a step too far. Listen, they've taken a long time to do this for many years. And I think this is why they're not getting the praise that maybe at the moment they deserve. For many years, they had this club in the mud. Let's be real about it. They didn't spend any money. They didn't communicate. They just done things really badly. I think since they brought in Mikel Arteta, sort of pushed Josh Kroenke forward to be a more of a vocal person that communicates with people, I think they've done a good job. I really do. They've done a good job since then. But I think what it is with a lot of fans is that they also remember previous to all that, where they didn't spend any money. And the reason why they didn't spend any money is because they didn't want to spend any money because they had this dispute going on. And they just didn't want to put their hand in their pocket. So I think, listen, they're doing a good job now. I think if they were to win the league, that's when things start to get forgotten. But people still remember the past as well. But listen, if you're asking me this and the last few seasons, yeah, undoubtedly cannot complain that they haven't backed the manager. I was angry, though, and again, this is why they get a mixed response, because I was angry in January, because basically they brought no one in and they basically gave up on the league. That's how I felt about it. But this summer, there can be no complaints. They've gone all in. They spent a lot of money. They've sanctioned the deal the other day of Eze. Got to be, but singing their names? No, not yet. Nicholas Niemba says, good analysis. Watching from Zambia. Robbie, when are you visiting Zambia? Want to go there very, very soon. We have beautiful places here, and I'm pretty sure you will enjoy your stay here. Well, listen, I've been loving all of the trips that we've made to Africa, and I want to do more of them. And we're also looking at doing stuff down in the Far East. We're looking at doing some more things in America. So look for us coming to somewhere near you soon. We really want to get out there globally and meet as many of you fans as possible and really shine a light on what you guys are doing out there in your support for Arsenal, because, I think it's fantastic. Listen, thank you very much for that. Adam says, would you rather players get the injuries at the start of the season than at the business end of the season, and the depth for the bench will be a massive factor this season? Well, you're right. I'd rather, if these players are going to be injured, let them be injured now, rather than, when you're right in the heart of the season and you've got Premier League, Champions League, we're going to get injuries. I'm glad that we've addressed that with squad depth. Yeah. A lot of you guys talking about the injuries at the moment, because Christian says the reason why there's so many injuries coming is playing the same players over and over. Arteta forced the same team for the last 3 to 4 years. Even in pre-season, Saliba played 4 minutes, and that's very true. Very true, but I do think now there is the chance to give some of these players a rest with the squad depth that they have, and I hope that they definitely do that this season. Right. Let me do a few more, because I got to go to the carnival. Yep, the carnival's on in the UK, and I'm going to be down there today. Before I go, let me give this one there. Hi, Brienne, big up yourself. He says, hi, Robbie. Not as much Arsenal related, but I wanted to know, for a new Arsenal content creator, what are your 3 tips of advice? Well, I say consistency. If you're going to make content, you've got to make it consistency. Make good content and try and make your content original. Those would be my 3. And when you do all those things, do it consistently. Don't watch the numbers at first. Everybody's there. Oh, I've only got 50 people watching my stream. Oh, and then they just give up. Don't do that. Build. It's a bit like football. It's a bit like football. Like you're an academy player. You learn your trade. You're not going to be in the first team straight away, but you build, and you will get there. You will get there. If you're making good content, you will get there. You will get noticed. Trust me. So good luck to you as well. Good luck with you for making that content. And I hope it goes really, really well for you. Let me just see if I can get a couple more here. There's so many comments coming in, and I'm really grateful for all of them. Let's do this one here. Saka's older brother says, yeah, we beat relegation fodder. Then why we beat you at Old Trafford? Okay, I get it. Yeah, because some people say, yeah, yesterday, Arsenal, you only beat relegation fodder. Yeah, listen, could be true. I don't know. But Leeds did beat Everton last week. They got off to a good start. They were confident coming into that game. And we put 5 past them. Can only beat what's in front of you. We had Man United away last week, which I felt was the hardest game on the first weekend to go and face Man United away from home, and we beat them. We're off to a good start, right? Last week, everybody was lauding up Spurs for beating Burnley. They'd only just come up as well, right? They beat them 3-0. Everyone's like, oh, they look brilliant. Blah, blah. No one ever said nothing about relegation, right? Man City went away. They beat Wolves, who've like lost loads of players this summer, including some of them to their own team, Eight Nori and that. Oh, they look back to their best City. Everybody should be worried. But no one didn't say, oh, Wolves are in a really bad way at the moment. You know what I mean? They've lost so many players. I didn't hear anyone saying that. We beat, calm down, Arsenal fans. I don't know, man. I don't know why. When it comes to us, it's a different narrative sometimes. So, you're going to beat what's in front of you. It was a great performance yesterday. It's as simple as that. So take it in and enjoy it, people. Any game we win in the Premier League, enjoy, right? Because they all tot up towards you, winning a league if possible. So we want to win everything. Hafiz Lowe says, it was great seeing you in Singapore, Robbie. Hope you will come back again. Big up. It's definitely what a wonderful country Singapore is, And Shadowy 6FPS42 says, Rob, you're on the payroll of the club. You sold your sold out. Sad. Oh my God. You know what? 1 minute someone will say, like, say if you say some praises, Robbie, you sold out, you sold your soul to the club. Blah, blah, blah. Then if on the other hand, if you have a go, oh, you're not proper Arsenal, you're against the club. You can't win. You can't win. But listen, I'm not here to try and win no popularity race with you. I'm here to give my view. That's why this is called Robbie's view. It's my view. If I see something that I think Arsenal are doing well, I will praise them. You want to say I sold out to the club? That's up to you. See this shirt I got on? I bought it. 120 quid. Yeah, I'm sure if I sold out to the club, at the very least, my iPhone's going off. At the very least, they'd send me this, right? You see the game yesterday? My season ticket at the game, I bought it. It's mine. I'm sure if I was on the payroll of the club, I wouldn't have to buy a season ticket. And at the very least, they give me a shirt. What do you reckon? Oh, my God. Can't win. Can't win, people. Can't win. Yeah, cheers, man. Cheers. Can't win. But I like this one. Tax expenses. You can't win, bro. Can't win. Can't win. Oh, my days, man. This one there says, Lorenzo, the rivals are so jealous of us, but we will win our first trophy and show the world who we are. You know what? They're worried. What it is, you've got a lot of opposition. That's what it is with the Gyökeres thing. Look how quick they were on his back. He's got the coolest celebration out there. Oh, it's cringy. It's cringy. Because they're worried. They don't want to see that at their ground. They're worried. When they saw him score that goal yesterday, secretly, a lot of them are like, what if this guy? What if he starts cooking? What if he, Arsenal ain't had a striker who's banged in over 20 goals for them for 4 or 5 years? Or what if he starts to bang the goals in? What if they win the league? And we have to hear from these Arsenal fans. Then they finally done it. Oh. So that's what it is. It's fear. So as the minute he does, as a game, he don't score, they're all like, it's fair. I'm telling you. I see it every single day, right? But what we got to do is go out there and fulfill, win something. Cliffside said, are you satisfied with Arteta's tactics so far? Well, listen, went away to Old Trafford, got a win, right? And has just won 5-0 at home in his first game of the season. I'm happy with that. I said last week, I didn't care about the performance. It's Man United away. I remember we went to Old Trafford. We put in a great performance. We lost 3-1 a couple of seasons ago. Remember that one? It's about winning, especially when you're on the road. And then yesterday, I was more than happy with that performance. It's 5 goals, set-piece goals, open play goals, young kids coming on and doing well, great atmosphere. I'm happy. But 2 games, that's all. I want to see that sustained throughout this season. Come back to me maybe after 10 games and I'll tell you what I'm thinking of tactics. Anyway, listen, I'm going to wrap it up because I do have to go to the carnival. I wasn't even joking when I said that. I've got to go and get ready and that. Go down to the carnival. Looking forward to the Notting Hill Carnival today. YouTube got a bit of an after party as well, so I'm going to be at that. And I'm going to feel good going down to the carnival today because, we won. And every year I go down there. I remember I went there one year. There's all these United fans. Yeah, we're going to win the league. They all disappear pretty quickly. I can go down there today and I can be walking around with my chest out and going like this to anybody who wants to run their mouth up. I'm going to enjoy it. But listen, you guys have yourself a great day. Don't forget, Robbie's View, this new feature, will be here after every single game. The next day, I'll always give you my thoughts on how I felt the game went. But overall, I think yesterday was a great game. Sad about the injuries to Odegaard and to Saka. Let's hope they're not too serious. But the real positives were, if you went to that game yesterday, you've got 3 moments that will live long in the memory. Eze being announced at the game before it, and that got goosebumps. Victor Gyökeres with a brace, his first goal for Arsenal on his home league debut. And also, don't forget, Max Dowman announcing himself at 15 years of age at the Emirates Stadium in front of a packed house. It was a great day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, check out Transfer Daily and check out all of our fan cams from yesterday. We did a load. Some are still releasing throughout today. Make sure you check it out. And I'll see you back in the morning with Transfer Daily. Take care.